Getting a pattern roughed out, a template roughed out for this upper boot cowl section. One of the things you have to do on this is to relieve it out for this V-brace where it comes down through here, and then there'll have to be a piece made to fit in there. What I did on this to figure that out is the first thing I did was I overlapped it down on this right side piece far enough so that I can trim it off to be overlapped properly on that right side piece. I had to notch it out a little bit where it goes by this window post. Then I set this up against this, just pushed it up against this V-brace and made some rough marks on there where I thought that the V-brace was going to intersect this panel. I went the depth, approximate depth that it was going to be, and of course that's all changed as we got the cardboard up here setting, because it goes on there cattywampus kind of diagonal and stuff. So these are straight lines in here and they don't quite lay out. To get this roughed out, to figure out where that relief is for that, first I cut out a section where I knew it was going to be pretty much have to be cut out, and then I started cutting strips out along both sides, and I could fold the strips up out of the way, then leave the ones in that provide enough clearance to fill that gap. And then I've just now roughed out a little shape here in the front of that V-brace. And of course the left half will be a lot easier because it's just pretty much a straight piece that goes over on the left side there. I've got the cutout on this side here. Well, I made the pattern for the upper boot cowl panel, and I cut it out of the sheet of 032 2024 T3 that I had, and I trimmed it up pretty close to shape this time. The other ones I left them pretty oversized so I could trim them down. This one's still going to take some trimming down, but it's pretty close. A little bit of work getting it hogged out around that V-brace there. I got that pretty good. So right now there's nothing to clamp this one to like the other ones. I could clamp them to the piper channel and stuff, get them to stay on there. So this one I put on with masking tape. It doesn't want to stick very good to the instrument panel, but I've got it stuck there to the firewall. And then, like I said, there's nothing to hold it to on the firewall. I've got nut plates in the instrument panel, and so I've been locating those nut plates with my strap duplicators. The one that I tried using before is working okay on these. It didn't work very well on those 4s or the 6s, but it's working okay on these number 8s. Those are number 8 nut plates in that instrument panel. So I've got the top 4 on the right side located, and I'm going to go ahead and flip the airplane back over the other way and do the other 3. I've got one of them on the left side. I'll go ahead and do the other 3 on the left side, get those located, and get those screwed down. Once I get those screwed down, I've tried it on this side and it's going to work out okay. Since that's clamping that down, I go ahead and bend this over then, and then locate. I got 3 screw holes, 3 nut plates there on that flange, that side flange on the instrument panel. I can get those located and screwed down there. Once all those are located, then I can start drilling the firewall and measure it out like I did the bottom and drill it. Cleco it together. I'll start from the middle, the center of it, figure out where the center line is and then what my screw pattern is going to be. And then as I drill that, I can Cleco it and pull it down as it comes around. It's not as near as radical of a bend as this one back here, so it's not going to be so hard. I've kind of been pre-trying it, and it's going to work out okay. I've got just enough clearance around that V-brace there so that it's not going to rub, no vibrations on it or anything. Got a gap there on the pilot side of that, on the inside of that. We'll have to make some kind of a plate panel to fit over that to cover it. I'll determine whether I might do that out of Kydex, I don't know. Or I can just do it out of 25 thousandths aluminum, and I've got 16 thousandths aluminum. I could do it out of a little piece of aluminum or a couple pieces of aluminum. So it's not too bad of a deal there. With Kydex, I could close that thing right up. I could pull the Kydex right up close to the V-brace there and not worry about it cutting into it or anything. But that's far enough ahead. I won't worry about that. I've still got to get this finished up. And then once I get this done, then probably the next thing to do would be to try to start fitting the windshield on there. That's something I've been dreading, is fitting the windshield on there. And get it fitted on, and once it's fitted on, then We can locate the holes for the windshield defrost, put those in, and then that'll be all will be pretty much done except for painting it. Here's the top section of the boot cowl. I've got it formed around the instrument panel here. The screws drilled, the holes drilled for the screws, and the screws in around the instrument panel. Got it held down here on the lower sections of the boot cowl on both sides, and relieved out around there where the window frames come down on both sides. I'll probably have to do a little more relief around this top here where that V brace goes down through there. It gets slid over that way just a little bit. Now this instrument panel, where it makes this turn right here, it had a flange bent over on it on the top, and then there was a gap here and the flange coming down the side, and so there was a sharp edge right here where this flange was. Even though this was round as it goes around this corner, that was starting to take a crease in that metal there. So I slipped a little piece of 32 thousandths in there at first, and that helped smooth that bend out, but it was a little bit thick, so I found a piece of 25 thousandths and stuck in there on both sides, and that created enough support on that aluminum on that sheet that it formed around that bend pretty good. Now it's forming around the front pretty good here. So I'm going to lay out my measurements on here on this top like I did the lower sections, measure back 7/10 of an inch from the firewall, and then start drilling holes in there, put clecos in it to hold it down. Well, the upper boot cowl is attached more or less. I've got it all screwed in here to the instrument panel. I've got one screw in the line where this goes on the lower panel, and then this other panel will fit in there, so that's in the Piper channel. And I've got one screw here on the front lower corner where it goes through this lower panel. Now that's on both sides. I've got the holes drilled out down through the firewall with just a number 40 drill bit and clecoed in. The same here along the sides to hold the sides down. Those will have to be re-drilled. I'm going to put number 6 screws in those. So I have to put nut plates in these panels here, both sides. But that's my boot cowl. Yeah, there's still some trim up work to do. I'll have to trim it up here and round over the edges, and there's a little bit of work here trimming over some of the places it overhangs a little bit. Stuff like that. Of course, I'll take it off and I'll take these pieces of shim stock out from underneath there. Once that's kind of pre-bent, that should keep that from kinking over when it bends over on that sharp spot there. Anyway, there it is in the raw. Well, actually I guess that was it in the raw. I had the holes drilled out, piloted out with a number 40 drill bit, and this instrument boot cowl clamped on with clecos, 3/32 clecos. I went through all of the holes with a number 26 drill bit, and I've got them all clamped on with the 1/8 inch clecos. And take that all apart now, take all the screws out, take that panel off of there. I'm going to mark the overhang here off the instrument panel and off the front, trim all this down, and then I can put the nut plates in on the firewall and on these 2 lower side panels, and then see if I can get this thing back in the way it came off.